He is someone who has been raised from the tough terrains of Anantnag to the top ranks of Indian administration. Our guest today is a true inspiration, and IIT Mandi alumnus, has secured All India Rank 2 in UPSC 2016, becoming one of India's youngest and most dynamic IAS officers. He has been named a Hindustan Times 30 under 30 honoree, served as a CEO of Srinagar Smart City project, and is currently the Deputy Commissioner of Kulgam, leading impactful governance on the ground. He has also been shortlisted for the Prime Minister's Award for Excellence and also a symbol of youth leadership. He has driven innovation, service, and a deep connection to the people he serves. As part of I.I.M.U.N's Role Model series, we are thrilled to hear his story and insights. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Athar Aamir Khan. Firstly, thank you so much for doing this for all these young students and traveling all the way from Kulgam along with all your other commitments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
So let me start with the very first question on a lighter note. Have you ever been called to the principal's office? And if yes, then for what?
No, not much. Not really much. I don't remember. I was among the, I would say, better and well-behaved students in the class. So unfortunately not. I have missed that experience. However, I have a younger brother. He has been called by principal quite a lot. So I lived that experience through him.
Okay, so you already lived it. So coming to my first question, your journey from Anantnag to becoming the Deputy Commissioner of Kulgam and All India rank, could you share what motivated you to pursue a career in the Indian administrative service? And most of us, of these students, are looking forward to pursuing a career in the same.
I think it's a long story. I don't know, many of you must have heard about one of the districts in South Kashmir called Anantnag. I come from that place. There's a village called Devipura. I remember, even when I was very young, so I would always wonder, what am I going to do when I grew up? And fortunately, I have very vivid memories of my childhood. And sometimes I would want to become a doctor, sometimes I would want to become an engineer, sometimes I would want to become, do something else in business, I don't know. So a lot of things. But then eventually when one grows up, I think it's in the class after your 10th, in class 11th and 12th, one faces this real challenge. Okay, now you have to choose your subjects. And at the same time, I felt that I was equally confused even at that point of time. So broadly, choices at that point of time were very clear that somebody either opts for biology along with other subjects and you want to pursue MBBS or medicine, or you want to go for engineering. These were kind of broad two scopes. But I was still, which one do I want to take? And I continued with both. Till my 12th was done, so continued with both. And after 12th, we have to appear in a lot of entrance examinations. Now, fortunately, it is very much streamlined. We only have 2 exams. One is a joint entrance examination for engineering colleges, and then we have the NEET which is a medical test for MBBS. And at our point of time, it was different colleges, different examinations. And so, as it would be, I wrote all the exams again. So first I got selected in BITS Plani. Then I was thinking I'll join engineering there, but I didn't. Then I could clear, fortunately, our CET examination. We had something called a JK Common Entrance Test for MBBS exam. So I joined the medical college first. I joined MBBS in Government Medical College, Jammu. And there again I realized that probably my interest is much more in physics and mathematics, and I want to pursue engineering and I want to discontinue MBBS. And as in the next session, I had written the IIT JEE exam again. It used to be a separate exam at that point of time, and then I cleared that exam. I left the MBBS and joined the medical college. Joined the IIT. I pursued electrical engineering there. So even in IIT, one would, over a period of time, again be a little confused about what do you want to pursue. I had opted for electrical engineering, but I got more interested in AI and pattern recognition and cognitive modeling, cognitive sciences. So I started specializing around those subjects, and towards the end of my course, I had my elective basket was more filled with subjects from AI and pattern recognition and CM rather than of hardcore electrical engineering. And then I also that is where I wanted to pursue further. So it was year 2024, it was year 2014, so almost 11 years back. So then I joined, we have a lab in Bangalore of DRDO called Center for AI and Robotics. So in 2024 I joined there as a project associate for a while.
So you have done AI before it was cool.
Exactly, I'm probably one of the first. It was at that point of time when all of this was started to happen. So now we have seen how it unveiled over a period of time. Then during that point of time, again, I was selected by one of the multinational companies to work in Mumbai. Again, with the objective of working on the cognitive modeling side and AI side. I went to Mumbai for a while. I was there. They had done the orientation program, etc. Then, while coming back from Mumbai, I happened to reach Delhi. And in Delhi, I was with one of my cousin brothers and his couple of second cousin brothers who are preparing for UPSC. So that's how I happened to see the books, etc. And then I thought maybe this is something I should definitely, want to explore. Then I put a lot of time understanding, okay, this is what kind of possibilities we have here. And I found the kind of opportunities civil services, particularly Indian Administrative Service provides, I found this unmatchable. As I put it, as I understood it, your role is just like a catalyst. We read about chemical reactions all the time, that you have reactants, they react together to make products. But most of the reactions, they require a certain catalyst, and there are reactions which happen in a fraction of a second in presence of a catalyst, and if that catalyst is removed from that equation, that same reaction may take years to happen. So that's the exact role. You are not a doctor, but you have that ability or have that opportunity that you can improvise on health system. You can ensure there is a better health care for citizens. You are not a teacher, you don't teach, but at the same time you have that opportunity with you that you can improvise on the education system. You don't run the buses, you are not a driver, but you have that opportunity that you can have a good running electrical bus system in a city, so on and so forth. So this is what I found really inspiring, and every decision you take, wherever you work, it's hundreds and thousands of people who get impacted. So I really found it inspiring, and I'm really grateful that with the journey that I had, wherever I reached and the opportunity I have got, it's been nothing less than a blessing.
So your journey is nothing short of inspiring and motivating for all these young students. So you have lived almost a life of a medico, a life of an engineer, then gone on to do AI before it was cool, and then eventually landed up in civil services with a higher rank. Please, a big round of applause for him. A true role model for all of you. So coming to my next question, securing the second All India rank in UPSC, which is obviously remarkable, what strategies did you implement when you did the preparations for the same?
Okay, I quickly, maybe because I understand a lot of students must be interested in civil services. How many are? Okay, so I'll tell you a few, maybe 5 or 10 points which should broadly capture this strategy. Number one is, it is very important to understand what you're doing. it is really very important to understand whichever exam, whichever issue you are trying to crack. This has been the case with CET medical entrance exam, this has been with the engineering entrance exam, this has been with the CAT, this has been with the SATs, this has been with the UPSC civil service exam also. So it is really important to understand what is asked in the examination, what is the syllabus of this examination, how much and what all things you have to read. Having that clarity in mind is very important. So I have seen many a times, a lot of us start preparation, but even in the middle of the preparation, we are not very clear about that. So one would be always, good starting point is to invest a bit of time in understanding what is this exam all about. What am I supposed to read? What are the kind of questions that are being asked? So you see all the old question papers for past 10 years, 20 years, then you realize, okay, there's a preliminary examination which has a general studies paper and an aptitude paper. Now these are the various topics in general studies. These are various topics in aptitude. I have to, do something with mathematics, some quant exercises, some logical reasoning exercises. When it comes to comprehension exercises, when it comes to general studies, I have to read about history, I have to read about geography, I have to read about economy, I have to read about social issues, all of that. Whatever we are reading precisely in our classes, in our schools. So that essentially forms, I would say, the major chunk of this preparation. So once you make yourself very clear about what is it that is being asked in this examination, it demystifies things for you. आपके लिए फिर कोई it no longer stays like some kind of a huge phantom. It's nothing like that. It becomes very easy for you. So that is number one. Number two is again planning your time. We all, probably the biggest resource that we have is time, and time is limited. Okay, so the time that the earlier we start, the sooner we reach. That's the broader logic. Then you start, okay, allocating your time. If you're in school, if you're in college, how much time should you devote? If you're doing full-time preparation, obviously you will have to dedicate your entire day for that. So that would be second. Having a good sense of time management is again important, because at the end of the day, there are around 10 lakh people who are filling forms for the preliminary examination. And if you want to, join IAS, it is at max around 180 seats. So from 10 lakh to 180, though the exam is not difficult, but the scale of competition is very high. So that one has to understand. So this was the second point. Third is again, it's about when we talk about what we have to read, it is everything and anything under the sun. So when we are in class, whatever we are reading, you are all, I understand most of you are in schools. So whatever history you are reading, whatever geography you are reading, whatever subjects you are reading, science and tech, anything, that all has to be read in such a mindful way that you can take it along. After 10 years, after 5 years, when you will be sitting for this examination, you should have already had all of these things prepared. Another important thing is having good set of your study material. Which books to read. Since the syllabus and since the quantum of study is very huge, it's again important to not only know what you have to read, but also to understand what you don't have to read. Okay, otherwise you'll be lost in in trying to manage the time. So having a good set of books, generally every civil service aspirant, he starts with the same NCERT or CBSE books that we study in our schools. That becomes a starting point. Then you have a set of textbooks that you read. You read newspapers every day. Current affairs is extremely critical for this examination. So you have to make a habit from right now that you read a newspaper every day. You try to note down some of the important things from the newspapers. You read a current affairs magazine almost I would say 40% of what is asked in the examination is current affairs, is something what has been in the news, is something what is pertinent. You need to know about how our economy is doing, something, okay, we need to know about something, what is a GDP, okay, as basic as that. So what is gross domestic product, what is per capita income, then how do we arrive at market rates, how is a, say, rate of a certain or a certain commodity determined in a market, what is inflation, then you grow, then you understand eventually, okay, this is how budget is done, this is what different programs and schemes of government are. So all of that ought to be read. But it's at this point of time, you don't have to bother much about that. When it comes, I'm sure that you will understand it very easily. My only advice at this stage would be, number one, whatever you are reading, you can go through, maybe your teachers in your school can also help you in that. You can understand and go through some of the syllabus. What is the syllabus of this exam? What are the papers of this exam? In main, so there are 3 stages. One is a preliminary exam in which you have 2 papers and some multiple choice exam. Then you have the main exam, which is a subjective exam. You have to write full length answers. There are 9 papers in that. Then there's a personality test, which is more like an interview, where questions are asked by the interview panel and then you're marked accordingly. So you need to just make yourself aware about the structure of this exam at this point of time, one. Number two, when you will see the syllabus of this exam, you will realize that a lot of what you are right now reading in your schools is part of this exam. Okay, so this will again give you that confidence, as well as it will make you more, I would say, sensitive about the fact that what you are reading right now, it's not only for your end semesters, it is also for the civil service examination. And last thing this is one important, I would say, advice that I would want to share with all of you, is practice. So if you do maths, it's not about, you don't read maths, you do exercises, you solve questions, you solve physics questions. Similarly, for this exam, it's again critical that you go through old papers, you go through mock tests, you go through model papers, and then try to attempt those questions. Your writing skill, as I told you, main examination, which is the most important part of this whole process, it has 9 papers which are subjective. So you will find all the questions about history, revolt of 1857, the Quit India movement, and all different topics they are being asked. You will find questions about culture, about various art forms, various dance forms, various temple architecture, other medieval architecture. All of those questions are asked. So again, the key becomes how well are you able to write those answers, how concise, how to the point your answers become. Many a times we write answers, we start, we know a lot, but we beat around the bush. And there in the exam, we have limited time, we have limited capacity. It becomes difficult to attempt. I have realized when I was in school, so my father he had made this task for me, that when there was an exam, so he never insisted that I come first or second or third in the class. That was not his he never insisted. He is also an economics lecturer. So what he would tell me that, if there are 10 questions and it is written, do any 5 out of these 10 questions. My challenge to you is, I want to see if you can do all 10 questions within that time frame. So I probably never came first in my class, but even right from, I would say, probably class 4th to class 5th, I had made this habit of trying to attempt more questions in the school exam than what was asked. And then I realized while I was writing the IAS main examination, okay, so I'll wrap up this question. So because why I'm putting it a little bit of more time on this question, I understand probably this may help a lot of you going forward. So these are just 5 things about UPSC. Any one of you who wants to write civil service exam or prepare for it, go and look at the exam syllabus. It is just like the syllabus you have in your schools, number one. Number second, look at old papers, look at mock papers, they are all easily available. Number 3, from now on, make it a habit that you read a newspaper every day. You can read a newspaper online, or you can read a physical copy of a newspaper. Read a current affairs magazine every month. Number 4, whatever things you are studying in your school right now, all of that is important. All of that is part of your IAS exam syllabus. And last, Practice as much as you can. If you're preparing for a medical entrance examination, only key is how much question practice you're able to do. If why I'm saying this, because I cleared around 9 entrance examinations after my 12th, and only commonality in all of that was practice. It is not rocket science. It doesn't take anything. It doesn't take very heavy coaching. You don't need to go to different places. But practice is the only thing which I have really found useful. So you take questions, you practice, you improvise on your writing. Essay, for example. How many of you write good essays? And how many of you think that writing essays is important? Okay, in IAS exam or for the civil services exam, essay is a one full paper. So you have to write 2 essays. And most of the marks deviation happens in that essay paper. Maybe somebody gets 40, somebody gets 140. And I have personally seen that in many cases, it is that essay paper which becomes the determining factor. So then what are the essays? Same, what we write in class 10th, similar topics. It's about science and tech. For example, AI, we all have been talking about AI. Maybe somebody says, there could be questions like, can AI actually bring in education revolution in India? Something like that. About agriculture, about social issues, about women empowerment. So all of that becomes is part of the exam. So all I am trying to tell you again and again right now is that whatever you are doing, whatever you are studying in your school right now, that is extremely critical for this exam. You will thank me after 5 years when you will actually write this exam, whosoever would do that. So it's my sincere advice that start from right now.
So you all have a $1 billion advice. Follow it if you all want to do something in life. Otherwise, best of luck.
I'm sure they'll do great. All of them will do great.
Moving on to the next question. While the Smart City project has undeniably given city a serious aesthetic glow up, as this generation says, do you think blindly vibing with European style urban planning, like some even say like shrinking roads for insta-worthy footpaths in a historically congested city like Srinagar, is a smart city logic or just for the aesthetic?
Okay, that's a very important question. One, copying anything is not a right approach. Whatever we do, even for somebody to make Instagram reels, copying is probably not a good idea. So when it comes to, say, urban planning, when it comes to cities are very complex, and every city has its own strengths, every city has its own challenges. The degree and the scale of challenges vary in every city. But there are certain principles in urban planning which are fundamental. For example, I'll tell you one basic principle. Say if there's a road, this road has to be uniform. This cannot be wide at places and narrow at other places. This is a basic fundamental road engineering, as many of you would study over a period of time.
Bottlenecks.
Correct. Similarly, when we are talking about, say, footpaths, as you mentioned in it, walking infrastructure is extremely critical for any city. How many of you must have seen, say, Lal Chowk, you must have seen Residency Road, you must have seen Polo View. How many of you have you seen Polo View Market? Okay. How many of you have seen the riverfront, the Jhelum, just in front of Convent? Okay. Now, if you see, let's take example of any of these two places. Now, what has precisely been done? One, obviously the roads are there. Those roads have been largely made uniform so that there are no wider and narrower paths. There's a certain standard that is followed, and this standard, there's a Government of India's body called IRC, which actually determines what should be the standard of a road width. And then they also make standards for footpaths. Now, let me explain it to you this way. If you see how we used to traditionally make footpaths, most of these footpaths would be, say, at place, there would be a drain between a road and a footpath. Okay, so then that footpath would be at places 1.5 feet high, at other places would be 2 feet high, at other place it may be just non-existent or 6 feet. Then there would be an entry to a certain place, to somebody's house, there would be an entry to a shop, then this footpath no longer existed there. And then in most of the cases, the footpath would be so narrow, or the footpath would have an impediment in the middle, that if you're walking, you will either bump your head with a pole or with something else.
Or it would have been encroached.
Correct. So what was done during this entire exercise, that we wanted to make sure that the city also becomes walkable. So that if there's all these drains which were surface drains, they were all put underground. They were underground drainage put up, so that they're underground pipes. This open drains do not remain. That's what you see in the entire Lal Chowk. That's what you see in the Polo View, in the MA Road, or even along this entire. If you also go towards the Batmalu Kamarwari side, Batmalu Mominabad side, or Rajbagh side, this is what was done. These drains were put underground. Then the footpaths were made at a certain height, that every footpath should be not more than 6 or 8 inches above the road surface. Number second, there are proper ramps made. So if there's a footpath, there's somebody's entrance, it again does not get discontinuous. There's a certain ramp made, so that if a car has to enter, it can also enter the house. But at the same time, there's a continuity. Idea is again that if there's a senior citizen, if there's a lady with a child, if there's a pregnant lady, if there are specially abled people, they should also be comfortably move around in the city. We look at the I would say city. Now we cannot look at it only from one point of view. We cannot only look at it from a car point of view. We'll have to look at it from all the different points of view. So that is what was done. We tried to focus on ensuring walkability in the city. I remember, I think last year itself, there was somebody sending me a message. There were 3 specially abled, completely 100% visually impaired individuals. They had started walking from MA Road on the Polo View and walked down the entire portion and had reached the LD hospital. And they were saying it is probably for the first time we have been able to walk unimpeded in a place. So walking infrastructure for any city is the key. Now then there's another point. So when we were again at that point of time, even now while a lot of other work is going on, one important part that we thought of was the city should have good and sustainable urban mobility. Now in every city, if you see, most of the cities, they face the biggest challenge of congestion. There are traffic jams everywhere. And if you look at the traffic jams, if you historically also study how different cities have been doing in India and abroad, one of the best ways to tackle issue of the traffic congestion is public transport. So that is what we had started to work on. That number one, we should have a robust, good, sustainable bus transport in the city. How many of you have seen these red electric buses? Now again, idea is not to copy from some other place, but it has to be sustainable. These are zero emission, no carbon dioxide, no smoke, nothing comes of it. They're all air conditioned buses running around the city, electrically charged, so pollution free. The idea was that city, when we are talking about the mode of transport, people should have a very good, affordable, reliable. Now what is reliable? Reliable means there's a timetable. This bus should run on that particular timetable. Now these buses run from 6 a.m. to 12 in the night.
Absolutely.
Now again, so how can this happen? It can happen only when there's a good, robust system put in place. So that is what was the vision of Honorable Prime Minister, what was the vision of Honorable Lieutenant Governor, that number one, we need to work on this mobility part. So one was electric buses. Again, so you cannot say that this is something, for instance, this is pure. I think every month lakhs of passengers are traveling in those buses.
Now, in fact, it's free nowadays.
Second, what we have again we try to work on was Srinagar also gives an opportunity for water transport. So because we have Jhelum, we have river, we have Dal Lake, that again gives an I think there is again work going on with respect to that. Third part was electric mobility in terms of last mile connectivity. Can we have electric autos? Can we have electric bicycles and others which can help somebody reach? Say for example, the bus does not come to Tagore Hall, say if the bus is coming to Iqbal Park, maybe from Iqbal Park to Tagore Hall, somebody can take a electric auto. So this autos and this becomes last mile connectivity. And this is where also the public walking infrastructure also comes. That now you also have spaces which are so walkable that, say if you are reaching, say if you have gotten down at TRC, you want to go to Lal Chowk, and you should be comfortably able to, you should enjoy walking through that place. So that is what the broad idea was. Broad idea has been, the design plan has been that we work on 4 or 5 broad parameters. One is electric buses, so that we have a robust bus transport in the city. Second is water transport, which I'm sure over a period of time is going to come in. Third, we look at this last mile connectivity by way of, again, electric autos and others. And fourth, we prompt people to walk. Walking is extremely critical. You go to any city, you will, any place. Why do you like going to Polo View right now? Because you are able to walk. Okay. And walking increases market footfall, walking increases business, walking makes it safe. Every year, if you see in India, the kind of deaths that happen, especially of pedestrian deaths that happen, it is too much. So, having slightly more comfortable footpaths is not an idea to mimic something, is not an idea to copy something. It's a pure infrastructure so that people can walk. They are not forced to walk on the road where cars are supposed to walk. So there's a proper delineation for walking, there's a proper delineation for carriage, number one. Number two, also I would say, if you look at most of these places, why do this also seem slightly wider now? Footpaths, even though the road has actually not been reduced much, road carriage has not been reduced much. The reason has been, which I told you. Number one, there was that drain, which was a surface drain on both sides of the road. Once that drain was put underground, so you could get some additional space. Similarly, there were all those poles in between. If you see, say Residency Road, all the Lal Chowk or around the Bund area, we removed all those poles and put all the cables underground. So it's all underground. So when those physical cables are gone, physical poles are gone, you have more, all of a sudden, more space to walk. Similarly, there would be encroachments at many places. Once they were removed, you would find you have more space to walk. How many of you have seen Khayyam? Okay. Does anybody remember when we go, जब हम cross करते हैं, there was a huge transformer in the middle of a road, just outside those meat shops. So now it is not there, it has been shifted to the other side. Now apparently जब आप वहाँ जाओगे, you will find a wide footpath, but at the same time you will also have to appreciate that now the road has also become more safer, more better. So that was one idea. Again, another thing was we have drainage issues in the city, we have parking issues in the city. All of that was kind of try to work on. Say if I give you the example of Lal Chowk, say how many of you are from Allinson? Anybody? Okay, have you seen Mallinson School? So there's a big multi-level parking that was constructed just outside Mallinson School. There was another multi-level car parking which was constructed opposite Pratap Park. Similarly, when you move towards Polo View, there is Kothi Bagh police station. There was one big surface parking constructed outside Kothi Bagh. So the idea was that people, when they are coming into the city, especially in this market areas, they should have places where they can park the vehicles, and then when they have to come out for shopping, going around, they should be comfortably able to do that. Similarly, you see all those poles have gone, they have been put underground. This is probably for the first time such an extent has been done. So on and so forth. Similarly, so this is, if you look at entire Dal periphery, so again, so that it is better to walk. If you look at place from Nishat to Habak, again a walking and a cycling infrastructure along the Dal Lake that has been constructed, because that is how spaces around a lake should be. It cannot be just cars are roaming around. It should be that people should also be able to walk, sit. These are public spaces. Similarly, if we talk about, say, Batmalu side, at the Batmalu Chowk, there used to be a place called a Rek Chowk. Do you know? How many remember? Now if you see, there's a huge market, craft market that has been constructed. If you see the roads towards Kamarwari, if you see the roads towards the Court Road side, again that has been improved so that people are able to walk, cars are able to move around properly. So, and then it's a continuous process. Cities develop over a period of time. I'm sure that a lot of this work is again going on over a period of time. It will be further, other places, other work will happen. Solid waste management, we had a big issue. We used to have in SMC around 90 odd vehicles which had been damaged in 2014 floods. But then under Smart City, 250 new hoopers were added to the fleet, and now we have everywhere these vehicles go to every household, they do the collection. I remember in 2021, around 320 tons of waste was collected in city, and now it is more than 620 tons of waste. So within 3 years, almost the collection efficiency has doubled. Winter, we did not have much of snow clearance equipment in the city. Again, around 50 machines were added to that snow clearance machinery. So a lot of it. So it's a work which has been done extensively. If you see, for example, clock tower, Ghantaghar, when I also saw it for the first time, I never saw a clock actually on our clock tower. It never had a clock on top of it. But then now, again, we try to work try to design it in such a way so that it reflects our heritage, our culture, and that's how.
Absolutely, it obviously looks beautiful, and I think now we all have a very clear picture of what actually has been done and how meticulously it was planned and actually implemented. And thank you for giving this such a long explanation to all these students, and now I think the confusion has not been there anymore. Moving on, going to my next question. Social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter have become essential tools for public servants to engage with citizens. With a significant following on Instagram, how do you utilize this platform to enhance transparency and communication with the people of the valley?
I think there is no denying in the fact that now social media is extremely critical, and that is part of the government strategy also. If there are any government programs, government initiatives, digital platforms are actively used. Social media platforms are actively used, whether it is Twitter, whether it is Instagram, whether it is Facebook, all of that is actively used. And I have also personally, during the entire course, if there is something that we are doing, we are trying to, there are plans, there are advertisements, there are initiatives, I also try to share them with people both in all the platforms, and I have actually seen that they also generate a lot of awareness about it. These days, for example, we are working on this Nasha Mukt Bharat, the anti-drug campaign, which is an extremely critical issue that we are facing right now. And again, how do we reach out to people? Social media is again the key. We are of course doing a lot of IEC activities and programs in villages, in schools, in colleges, trying to reach physically also to people. But at the same time, we have this medium, digital, we have the social media platforms which we are trying to use so that we reach out to most people. Because everybody nowadays is on, every kid, every person is on social media, and it's the best platform. That is how we have been using it.
Absolutely, social media is an essential tool in today's world and to communicate with the citizens. But I think I have taken a lot of your time, and the students really are excited to ask you questions. So with your permission, I'll just do a quick rapid fire segment, and after that we'll open up to students.
Sure.
So I'll tell you something and you will have to say the first word that comes to your mind when I say this. Leadership.
It's about service.
Kulgam or Anantnag?
Both. Anantnag, obviously, because it's home, I have been born and brought up at that place.
A book you would recommend to students?
I would recommend two. These are two small books. One book, it's called The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku. Happiest Man on Earth, you can read it in one afternoon. He has been a Holocaust survivor. It will teach you a lot how, things we take for granted, how they can go away in an instant, and how human beings can become worst of the creations, and at the same time how much resilience human being has to, despite so much of struggles, so much of hardships, you can grow up. So one book is The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku. It's a very small book. Then there is another small book called Unshakable by Tony Robbins, and this book is about financial planning. It's about learning how markets work, how money works. That's again in present day and time, I find it extremely critical, so that you can also, once you grow up, once you start your careers, you can understand, okay, how do I save money, how do I invest it, how do I also become independent in terms of from financial point of view. I think for any school student, these two books are a must.
And especially I think financial literacy, which is a must, as we don't have this subject in school and it should be introduced. Next one reform you would implement immediately.
There's not one reform, because we're already working on a lot of things. In present capacity, one of the biggest priorities, as I told you, for us is working on combating drug menace. So that would be the one main priority.
Favorite dish in Vazwan?
Favorite dish is the methi, which you get in the, which comes along with the trami. So that's the favorite thing.
A quality every student should have.
It is hard work. It is hard work. It is focus.
Youth.
So because you are students, that's why I want to speak a little bit more. I'll tell you about this hard work. When we were, for example, working on these bus transport and others, before man and God, we used to work at least till 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the night. Idea is again that if we want to do something, it takes hard work. There is no, whether we are, we have written the exam, whether we have cleared, in whichever capacity we are. Without hard work, we are not able to accomplish anything.
The last one and my favorite, what comes to your mind when I say I.I.M.U.N, this platform, this organization?
Inspired children, inspired kids. I think that's what comes to my mind.